Class 11. About the poet. Wystan Hugh Auden was a British American poet. Auden's poetry was noted for its stylistic and technical achievement, its engagement with politics, morals, love, and religion, and its variety in tone, form, and content. Refugee Blues was first published in 1939 on the eve of World War II. The poem meditates on the plight of Jewish refugees forced to flee Nazi Germany but unable to find refuge elsewhere. As the poem does so, it raises broader questions about isolation, loneliness, and exile. It depicts the trauma and pain of being forced to leave home and of being unable to find a place of safety and security in violent and uncertain world. Stanza 1 and 2. Say, this city has 10 million souls, yet there's no place for us. My dear, there's no place for us. Once we had a country and we thought it fair. We cannot go there now. My dear, we cannot go there now. Here in this poem, the speaker is a Jewish German. He says that there are 10 million people in the city. Some are living in mansions, some are living in slums. But nowhere there is a place for them to live. And there is a place, and nowhere they could find a place for them to live. Here the mood of the speaker is quite bleak and mournful. He says that he used to belong to a nation and he thought it was beautiful. If you look at the atlas, you will see it, he says, but he cannot go there anymore. He cannot go there anymore because it is no longer the home of Jews. He clearly says that Germany is no longer the place for Jews. Stanza 3 and 4. In the village churchyard there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. Old passports can't do that, my dear. Old passports can't do that. The council banged the table and said, but we are still alive, my dear, but we are still alive. He talks about an old yew tree. The old yew tree grows outside the village church. Every spring it blossoms again, but the old passports do not blossom in the spring. He says that he went to the immigration office. The immigration official slammed his fist down on the table and shouted, if you don't have the passport, that you are legally dead. But he says that we are still living, my dear, we are still living, my dear. The speaker's passport is expired. But without proper documentation, the speaker cannot enter another country to save his life. Stanza 5 and 6. Went to a committee, they offered me a chair. But where shall we go today, my dear? Where shall we go today? Came to a public meeting, the speaker got up and said, if we let them in, they will steal our daily bread. He was talking of you and me, my dear. He was talking of you and me. The speaker says that he went to a committee for help and they told to take him a seat. They said to wait until next year. But where will they go? Where will they go right now? Where will they go right now? There was no answer. The speaker went to a political rally where the speaker says, if we let refugees enter our country, they will take our food. So he was talking about you and me, my dear. He was talking about you and me, my dear. In the political rally, the speaker said that if refugees are let inside their country, then they will steal their food. Stanza 7 and 8. Thought I heard the thunder rumbling in the sky. It was Hitler over Europe saying, they must die. We were in his mind, my dear, we were in his mind. Saw a poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. But they weren't German Jews, my dear, but they weren't German Jews. The speaker heard the loud voice of Adolf Hitler saying that they must die, that they must die. He means to say that Jews must die. He saw a poodle wearing a jacket fastened with a brooch. He saw the door open and let the cat inside. But the cat was not Jew. My dear, he says that the cat was not a Jew. He says that the people, they behave as if the lives of animals are more valuable than lives of human beings. Stanza 9. Went down the harbour and stood upon the quay. Saw the fish swimming as if they were free. Only 10 feet away, my dear, only 10 feet away. He stood on the quay down at the harbour The speaker is seeing the fish and they looked free enough. But they were only 10 feet away. They were only 10 feet away from the speaker. But the fish was not a Jew. Even fish have more liberty than the speaker because the fish can swim freely. This is the feeling of the speaker. Now, walked through a wood, saw the birds in the trees. They had no politicians and sang at their ease. They weren't the human race, my dear, they weren't the human race. Now, the speaker went to the woods. He went for a walk in the woods and saw birds in the trees. They don't care about politicians. They sang freely. They weren't human beings. They weren't human beings. At this point, the speaker feels jealous of animals and birds because they don't have to deal with hateful politicians in their lives. Stanza 11. Dreamed I saw a building with 1,000 floors. Not one of them was ours, my dear. Not one of them was ours. In this stanza, the speaker says that he saw a dream, he saw a building with 1,000 stories and it had 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors, but not one of them belonged to him. Not one of them belonged to him. Stanza 12. Went down to the station to catch the express, but every coach was full, my dear, every coach was full. The speaker goes to the railway station to find a place for himself to move away from Germany, but he was not successful. It was all full. Stanza 13. Stood on a great plain in the falling snow, looking for you and me, my dear, looking for you and me, my dear. He stood in the big field in the falling snow while 10,000 soldiers marched back and forth, looking for us. He says, these soldiers are looking for Jews. If they find them, they will kill them. The poem closes with the refugees standing on the great plain in the falling snow. They have nowhere to hide and there are 1,000 soldiers hunting for them. The speaker thus predicts that without refuge, Jews will be slaughtered. The poem blames the soldiers for their brutality and inhumanity, but also the countries that refuse to give refuge to the speaker and also shares a great deal of blame and responsibility. They had the power to save the speaker, but they did not do so. He talks about the leaders who were unwilling to give refuge in their country. The poem does not directly address the countries and governments, but the governments that refused to grant asylum to the speaker. Here the poetic device used is apostrophe. The speaker addresses another refugee, someone the speaker simply calls my dear. For detailed notes and question and answers, log on to eduguru-notes.blogspot.com. Thank you.